Harper. This is Tony Orlando with my good friend, Jimmy Diele.
Hey, welcome everybody. Of course, I'm Doc G from Hamilton Radio. We're live right now on Hamilton Radio and, of course, Smoking Bacon Radio and Facebook. So anybody has any questions, you can comment. But I want to welcome today's guest, a good friend of Tommy over here, New York Jets superstar Wesley Walker. Welcome to the Jimmy Diele Show.
Well, thank you. I don't know about the superstar aspect, but I'm glad to be here.
Do not cut yourself short. You are a superstar. That's the truth. I'm living proof. I've seen you play since I'm 5 years old.
Well, that makes me old.
No.
Well, so nice to have you, Wesley. Of course, you are a legend. You're a wide receiver for the New York Jets. Incredible legend, incredible career. 13 seasons with the New York Jets, 71 touchdowns. 438 receptions for 8,306 receiving yards. What a career. Unbelievable. And I know lately you've been moving around a lot. Tell us about that.
Well, I just moved to Arizona. You know, I was born and raised in California. Right. And the area I moved in kind of reminds me of my hometown. My wife's family is here, and she has the older daughter who just recently got married. And we're actually out at the Super Bowl, and he's a big Rams fan. So he's very excited. But we wanted to come out here to help out our daughter who wants to have back-to-back kids. We have one grandson here, but I have 3 other kids in New Jersey, so I'll be going back and forth. And I have like 6 grandkids back there too. But it's been a real transition because I've been in New York since '77. Never thought I'd leave California. And I'm just now getting back on the West Coast, which is nice because you guys got that 20 inches of snow recently, and I certainly don't miss that. The weather has been beautiful here, but the summertime here, they say it's brutal. So that's another, I don't know, adventure that I'm going to have to experience. But this is just a blessing to be here. But God has blessed me in several different ways with family, making a move here. And I just thank God for the life that I've had.
Exactly. Now, you went to the University of California. You were an All-American. Is this where your interest pretty much started in football?
No, I actually didn't know anything about football. This was the interesting thing. I was a very good athlete, played basketball, football, baseball, all sports in high school. And my coaches in junior high school and middle school, I was playing in like a flag football game. So he had the local 2 high schools come and watch me perform. And it was Carson and Banning. Matter of fact, Banning High School was my rival because I ended up choosing Carson. Matter of fact, the coach that coached Banning, which was my rival, had made a comment because I dropped the ball and said, well, send him to Carson. Well, I ended up going to Carson and I never lost the game. And this coach, I will always remember, who really gave me my shot. I went out for the team and he asked me to, I remember going out with jeans and just cleats on. And he asked me if I would, would like to join the team. And I did. I never thought, I would be playing football on this level, but it's, I just love sports. And it started in middle school actually. But when I got to high school, I was always fast too. I was a good runner. And all throughout elementary school, high school, I tried to tell young student athletes, my goals were to not only be the best athlete I could be, but to be the best student. And I learned that at a very early age because my parents taught me the value of education. Mm-hmm. But as I went on to high school and having the success that I had, not only in the sports, but in the classroom, I learned that, hey, if I were able to get good grades in school, I might be able to write my own ticket for college for a scholarship. And I was able to do that. And I'll be honest with you, because of my grades, I was able to choose, and I got recruited by every major university. I had my pick and choice. And I ended up choosing Berkeley, which I think I disappointed my family a little bit because I took a sneak trip because I felt at that time they weren't really honest with me. I wasn't going to take a trip. I told USC I was going to come. Then I told UCLA I was going to come. UCLA actually wanted me as a running back. And but I said, I'm not a running back. I can't be blocking people, these big linemen and whatnot. And so I took a sneak trip up to Berkeley. This recruiter, I remember Ron Hudson, came to my track practice and begged me. He had made this scrapbook of me, and it was really a neat little scrapbook to try to get me up, just to come up and visit. And when I went up to Berkeley, I fell in love with it. It would fit my personality. And I used to call myself a black hippie. I used to play guitar left hand like Jimi Hendrix. And I just loved people. And it was just different, a different atmosphere. And I just fell in love with it. And I never thought I'd ever leave Berkeley until I got drafted by the Jets. But that's how my career started. But when I went to Berkeley, one of the guys that recruited me was Herman Edwards, and a guy by the name of Vince Ferragamo, who ended up getting drafted by the Rams as the #1 draft choice. Sure. And I was very fortunate. In college, I had Vince Ferragamo, I had Steve Bartkowski, and then I had another guy, Joe Roth, who was probably just as good, maybe better. They thought he was going to be the next coming of Joe Namath, and he passed away of cancer our senior year. Matter of fact, I got hurt my senior year, didn't know if I'd be drafted. I was still supposed to be a #1 draft choice, and that didn't happen. I didn't go to the second round, so that was a big disappointment. But the fact that Berkeley has actually put out Aaron Rodgers, some guys that I didn't even know that are in the Hall of Fame at Berkeley that have done well in the pros. And I didn't even know it until I went up to Berkeley to show my kids my Hall of Fame. And then my God, Aaron Rodgers went to the Cal. So there's a couple of guys that went to Cal that I didn't even know that went to Cal that have done very well for themselves on a professional level.
Wow. You played 13 seasons for the Jets. I mean, that's amazing, right, Tommy?
Yes. 13 years with the same team. You don't see that anymore these days. Free agency, years ago that everyone stuck together, that whole Jet team, everybody got drafted and they all played together, right, Wesley?
It's become a business. And hey, believe me, I'm sure guys would like to be able to move around and renegotiate their contracts. And that's what it's really all about now. It's really a business, and you don't learn that until you've had the experience of what you have to go through. But one of the things I have said, I'm very thankful for, that I was able to stay with one team, although there was a time that I thought I was going to get traded to the Oakland Raiders, but they didn't have their free agency movement. And so it was really, the teams really had their say in what you really did. And now guys are moving around, but you have even teams who are in different, cities now. And there's no one guy that, like, I would characterize them as being the soul of the team, as you follow them, because they go from place to place, and there's no camaraderie where you can just follow one person and be connected to one team. So that's what's really different. Everybody always asks me how the game has changed, and I think it's gone more to a passing league. But the fact that guys are all over and they're going to go where the money is, and they want to win, obviously, a championship. And hey, I can't say that I wouldn't have done that if I had the opportunity, but I'm very thankful I was able to play for the Jets for my career. I just wish I would have stayed healthier, and I just wish we would have won more often.
Good, Doc G.
Yeah, in your football, when you were starting your football, what made you want to do football? What really out of all the athletes that you wanted to do?
I could have went on a track scholarship also, and football scholarship. And I'll tell you what, baseball was my #1 priority growing up. And when I got to high school, track and baseball were at the same time, so I couldn't do both. My dad wanted me to run track because your ability really fell on you. Nobody could control you. In other sports, team sports, if you get a coach that really is not on your side or willing to promote you, that could hurt you. And so my dad wanted me to run track because it's more on me and more individual. And I took pride in that. But track also helped me from a cardiovascular standpoint as an athlete for all my sports. And that's the reason I really ran. But I was a 4-year All-American track sprinter at the University of California and football player. And I lettered in both sports, and that hadn't been done since World War II. And I'm very proud of that. But when I started playing football, and that really started in high school, that was a way for me to not only do well in the classroom, but I set my goal to be able to earn a scholarship, because naturally to go to a major university costs money, and my parents couldn't afford that. So I was able to do that. So when I got to the University of California, my premise really for me was to get my education. That was the first and foremost. And the football really was the secondary lesson for me. But I was, fortunate that I was good enough where scouts started looking at me. And I'm like, oh man, I could get drafted, and I was able to do that. But what happens, you don't realize you can get hurt. Injuries is a big part of the game. My senior year, I came off this 300-yard game, almost 289 yards against San Jose, and my coaches were saying I could go to the Senior Bowl. You want to play the East-West Shrine game? What game do you want? I'm coaching the Japan Bowl. You're going to have your choice or whatever. Scouts are telling me you're going to be a number one draft choice. Well, against USC, I'm playing in the game, and Dennis Thurman hits me in my knee, and I came right in on my knee, and bam, next thing I know, I'm getting major surgery. Didn't know if I was even going to play again. And if it wasn't for me participating in track, I don't think I would have been able to make it back to the level of speed-wise that I did. And I had a mediocre track season, but when I got to the Jets, when I ran to 40, I was just as fast. I think I ran like 4.3 something, and they signed me right on the spot when I was running the routes and stuff. But one of the things they didn't know about me is that I was blind. This the first time I had to read an eye chart. I always kept it hid, and I always thought that that would have kept me from playing sports. And I know my mom was terrified when I played baseball because I got hit in my eye. And it's not until now that I've gotten older that I think about if something happened to my good eye, I'll be walking around blind. And I never thought about it. I never wore a shield or anything like that covering my face mask or whatever, but it taught me that, with a little work, determination, and work ethic, you can achieve just about anything you want to, but you really got to make the effort to do that. And I knew the owner of the team, Leon Hess, was really ticked off because he just drafted this guy, Marvin Powell, who had loose knees. And then he drafts his receiver, not only has a bad knee, but they tell him that I'm blind. And so he was like livid. So this is how the combines got started. Teams started flying in guys early, try to give them early physicals. And then teams got wind of that and started bringing in guys. And then they started, obviously it's in Indianapolis and they do this whole combine thing. But that's why the combines had gotten started. But I just am thankful I was able to overcome a lot of things. I've been able to help people because of my blindness that have had issues, or athletes, or just regular human beings. I even have a friend of mine who wrote to me about his son. I met him when he was like 9.5, and his name is Andy Solari. And he'd heard John Madden talking about my blindness and being an athlete and whatnot. And his son was going blind, and he may have to have his eye removed. And so I got this letter. He was a school teacher, and I called right away. Got his son to call me back right away. I would send him pictures and autographs, write him letters, jerseys, cards, just to try to encourage him. And over the years, we just developed this bond and friendship. He actually went to Cal because I went there, and they had to remove his eye. Wow. Obviously, he wasn't the athlete, but he still can use his brain. He only, he got not only 1 degree, he got 2 degrees. And I'm still friendly with him now. Him and his wife, he came out to New York. I had his family fly out to California, he stayed with me. I would have these appearances out here hosting Jet fans for games like in San Francisco. They would come. And this is what's really interesting. And as an athlete or somebody trying to be a role model, you don't know what significance you have on other people. And you hear this cliche about if you help one person. Well, his family thought so highly of him, and him too. They flew me out to California, put me up in a hotel for his graduation. They had this reporter come. They did this whole huge article. Their family members didn't even know this had taken place with my blindness and Andy. And it was just such a neat thing. And then they put on a brunch the following day after graduation. And he gave a speech, and his father. And I was like literally crying, just floored that we meant so much to him, just what I did for him. And I'm like, oh, I would do this for anybody. And I've helped other people. I actually put him in touch with a kid that I was trying to work with who had got shot in the eye. Another person got hit up with a ball in the eye on the golf course. and you say, man, I just wish I would have done something more with it in New York, like a charity thing to try to help people. But I had no idea the influence as an athlete that you do. You don't hear enough good things like that, or with other people, and even with these big names, the things
Exactly.
they do for their community. And there should be more stories about that. And I know it's great that you have the success on the field, but there's a lot of off-field stuff that people do that should be recognized, and that's important to me. But there's a lot of people I've met over the lifetime of things, and you think about the impact you can make. And I think of all the individuals that I've met over the years, and I'm thinking about this right now because I'm getting older. I don't know how much time I have left. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to do right by other people and put forth. I just lost my friend Clark Gillies, who I didn't even know he had been sick or whatever. And my ex-wife works with his charities and this, that. And my wife's, we're in bed. He said, Clark Gillies passed away. I'm like, what? And as I get older, I think about that now. How much time? So you want to be a blessing. And I've been put on this earth, I think, to serve others. And that's what I try to do. I love my children. I love my families. And I love just helping people. I have some people here working on the house. They don't know anything about football, but they're seeing all these pictures that I have on the wall, and I'm signing autographs for them, and they know nothing about it. Or the kids want to come over. They don't even know me. But you just want to help people and make people feel good, because they make me feel good. And I appreciate the Jet fans that are out there. And they're some unbelievable fans that stick with you through thick and thin, no matter what. And those are people that I love dealing with. And hey, that's why I'm here. You can call me anytime. Sorry it took so long to get back to you guys, but I'm running in a million places. But I'll try to help out anybody that I can, if I can.
Yep, and that's Tommy Prezioso. He's one of your biggest fans.
You're our guy. You are a Jets royalty. You like, as a Jet fan, Joe Klecko, Bruce Harper, our guys. All our guys.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. And
no matter what,
Joe Klecko, he would be my MVP. That guy was dominant lineman. And I put him and Gastineau over anybody, even Bobby Jackson, defensive back. Guys don't know. I was prepared because my guys prepared me in practice, and I would put them up against anybody. You just mentioned Bruce Harper, and he's gone through a hell of a lot with his body. We're all going through aches and pains and surgeries and stuff that's real serious. And Bruce Harper is one of my dearest friends, one of my best friends. He's actually the godfather of my youngest son. So you just mentioned some guys here, but I could go through a whole list of guys that I could put up against anybody in the NFL, even the Hall of Famers, and they're just good. And we didn't get the recognition because we didn't go to Super Bowls, maybe, and or a lot of times in the playoffs, and we did get to the playoffs. But when you get more attention, more accolades, that's what puts you over the top. And unfortunately, we just didn't have that. But I know in my heart what we brought to the table and what my guys brought to the table, and whether you get into the Hall of Fame or the Ring of Honor or the Pro Bowl doesn't mean you're not that because you didn't have that title. It's just that you just didn't get the opportunities other people did.
Yeah. It's amazing how much you love your fans. It's a beautiful thing, really.
Oh, man. When I got the Ring of Honor, that was the last thing I said. I played this game because of them. And when I go to New York and, I could be on the street and you see some fan, how did you know what the heck? And I've been in Florida and some fan, because they're a fan. And I'm flattered, and it freaks me out sometimes, but I don't consider myself, this celebrity or superstar. But in the eyes of certain people, you are, because they just, I don't understand that whole fan thing. I was watching the game, and you see these people with the jerseys on, but it's a good thing. It's a flattering thing. It's almost they're playing through you, and that's a big thing.
It's an amazing the influence you have. You don't realize it, but as a kid, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, watching you play, emulating you, me playing Little League football, trying to catch the ball the way you catch the ball over the shoulder, running the routes the way you run the routes. I try to emulate you. And you're such an influence, and you don't know how what an impact you guys have on youth. Growing up.
It took me a while to really understand that, and sometimes I don't realize because, I'm a human being. I'm no different just because I played for the Jets or whatever. It doesn't make me any better. I'm just a human being, and I don't look at myself as being anybody better. But if I can help a person, and knowing that people do try to emulate it. It still freaks me out when people tell me that, like as a little kid, or they're wearing your jersey. And I have guys that have worn jersey. I was even in Florida at the Jet Miami game in Florida. We were on vacation in Marco Island. We go to the game, and the Jets got me tickets to go. And oh God, I'm having a brain thing. One of my, I didn't know he's on the Super Bowl team, and he sees a guy with an 85 jersey, brings them over to me, and he's freaking out. But it was just so nice. And, I'll walk around even MetLife Stadium. If I see an 85 Walker jersey, I'll go up to him. Some people don't even know it's me. I'm just taking pictures of 85 jersey. And one guy didn't even know it was me. He was really embarrassed. But I so appreciate that. And I'm sure guys like Joe Glecko, Mark Gastineau, the Bruce Harper's, guys that I played with, they so appreciate the real true Jet fans, and it's awesome.
Yes.
And I just didn't want to make a bad impression, and because some guys are not very personable, and they can not be so nice, and I don't want to be that person.
Exactly. I wanted to talk about, in one game you had 4 touchdowns. It was a game against Miami. Tell us about some of your memories of that.
Well, number one, I was actually kind of hurt. I strained my groin during a week of practice, and so I had to take off a couple of days of practice. And that's why I had so much respect for my teammates, like a Kurt Sohn, who was my backup. And I think about it, and he's like my MVP. Great athlete, work ethic, just really. Here you spend your whole life trying to do something, and then you got to play behind somebody else. And I remember he's taking all the reps in practice, but I come in the game, and then I end up having that game. And I remember, I'm just fast forwarding, I just remember, all the reporters coming up after me at the game, and he's sitting there trying to get dressed, and and nobody's there. And I'm pointing out he's my MVP for what he just had to endure. That game, I never thought I'd had that great of a game, and it could have been even better. I was actually angry at Joe Walton because he wasn't really using me. And if you go back to the tape and look at it, I didn't catch my first touchdown till towards the end of the second quarter. And I remember when I caught the first one, this play we'd been working on play action, and I was wide open, and I forget how long it was. And so we come back to the sideline, we get the ball back, and I'm saying, let's go run this 89 or Z go, anything deep. Well, I can do it, And Joe Walton's just freaking out. He didn't know what to call, so he calls it. Miami was in the right coverage, but Kenny O'Brien, there's a coverage we call cover 6, and it's really they're trying to stop the deep ball, and they have a guy jamming up the line of scrimmage, and then have a deep safety back. So if you beat the first guy, you can zip ball right in the hole. And that's what Kenny O'Brien saw, and we did. And I was able to catch the ball and make a maneuver, break a tackle, and I go for my second touchdown. And then as we go on in the game, it's back and forth, back and forth. And I remember catching this one ball that I thought it would have been incomplete, but they called it a fumble. Right. And I'm, oh, Lord, they get the ball back, they score. And I thought I just blew the game. And just the way things worked out, I just couldn't even believe it. And we get back in the game, and we got to go down on this drive, and then we're running out of time. And if you look at that last sequence of plays that led up to the overtime catch that I made, I mean, there was a hook and ladder by Johnny Hector to Mickey Schuler. Mickey Schuler makes his one grab just to get out of bounds, breaking top just to get out of bounds, and he stops the clock with 5 seconds left. I'm on the sidelines, mind you, and Kurt Sohn's in there. Kenny O'Brien comes inside. Wesley, get in. And this is the play that I've always wanted to run. We worked on it all the time, and the end of practice inside the 20-yard line when we're in the end zone. But a lot of times you don't get that opportunity. And we finally get this opportunity. They call the play. Again, Miami's in the right coverage, and they're not in this man, they're in this zone. And how Kenny O'Brien zipped it in there, and it wasn't the greatest impact, but it was hard. How it stuck in my hands, and to this day, I still can't remember. I just remember I tell people I was like in a dream world, and it just stuck in between 4 or 5 players. And I remember Johnny Hector pounding on me, and hit me in my ribs. He probably hit me more harder than the Miami Dolphins player. And I'm like freaking out, like this is overtime. It doesn't get better than this. And then we really probably should have lost the game because they recovered this fumble, but they gave the ball back to us on a kickoff. And then we ran this play action play after running the ball because we had real good success running the ball. And that's when you can set up, different play action passes. And we ran this play. I just ran by defensive back, catch another bomb. And why I didn't sit there and revel in it with Kenny O'Brien, I was very modest. I made the winning catch. I just run into the locker room. If you watch there, I just run into the locker room. I'm happier as hell. I remember Marty
Lyons, yeah.
He picks me up and he falls backwards, falling down. It was kind of embarrassing, but I just run off the field. And why I didn't come back and celebrate with the fans or with Kenny O'Brien, I don't know. And they came back to me, I remember after the game, and they didn't know who to give the MVP to. And I said, give it to Kenny O'Brien. He outdueled Dan Marino. And they ended up giving it to me. And I remember doing this interview afterwards. But those guys that day, at least offensively, I'm not too sure about defenses on either side, the way it was going back and forth. But my MVPs were my teammates. And there were plays, just, if you missed a blitz, one little play, just if you miss that blitz, it could just screw up your player. And that could be a time you score or not score. And we just put it together that day offensively. And I think not only Kenny O'Brien, but Mickey Schuler and I think Johnny Hector was filling in for Freeman McNeil. Johnny Hector never got the credit he really deserved. That guy could fly and run and block. He was the whole total package. And unfortunately, I think Freeman was hurting. Freeman, I used to tell him he's Barry Sanders. Maybe didn't have the speed, but he had that knack of cutting ability. But we had so many good athletes, and I just wish every game was like that. But I come out of that game, and I always thought about the one that I didn't get, and I'd come out with my family, and they would always say, he's going to talk about the one he didn't get. I could have had over 200 yards or 300 yards or whatever it is. And that's just the kind of competitor that I was. You're looking for perfection, although you're not going to ever reach that, but you always want to do better. And that was always me. And I just wish I could have stayed healthier because I could have put up better numbers. And when you have success and you get to the Hall of Fame, you have to have somebody that's behind you. And really, you have to have the opportunities, and longevity and opportunities get you where you really want to be. Unfortunately, I didn't get those things, but I'm thankful that I was able to get what I did get. So that's my story.
So awesome. Do you still keep in touch with your teammates?
Yes. I just spoke to Freeman McNeil the other day, 2 days ago, because I was down at Super Bowl. I was hoping he was going to come with me. Mm-hmm. Bruce Harper is a dear friend. I talk to him just every other week, Marty Lyons. And matter of fact, this is a funny story. I took my wife to Aruba for her 50th birthday. And all of a sudden I hear Wesley. And it's some people from the Jets at the hotel. I went to another hotel, and it's Tony Richardson, a lot of people that work for the Jets, and Marty Lyons, Kenny Troy. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? They're just out for a Jet thing or whatever. So I'm out at the Super Bowl. I get a call from my son who's in Aruba. He runs into Marty Lyons and Kenny Troy, and he sends me pictures out on the beach. And, and it's just a good thing, that, you just have this connection. And, when we go to the games, I see a lot of the former players like, Joe Glecko. And right before I left, we always have a yearly party. A lot of my teams will come out and they get the guys that are locally, And Richard Castle was a real good friend of mine. I only played 1 year with him, and everybody's going through some issues. But I try to stay in contact. I probably have more contact where I'm calling them than they probably calling me because I like, having contact with people. And I don't want to be one of those that, like, there's a guy that I played with, Marvin Powell, all-pro tackle, one of the best tackles the Jets ever had. He was my best man, and I don't even know where he is, So hopefully we'll chat one day.
5-time Pro Bowler. Yeah, he was amazing, great. Marvin Powell. It was great.
I used to watch him and Mark Gasol go to battle every day in practice, He was a stud, too, And, and sometimes we have these, we didn't have it because of COVID, but they've had these legend weekends and golf tournament. And, now Al Toon showed up 1 year. And you get to see guys once in a while, and I was glad to see some of the players. They have this Legends program. And I was out at the Super Bowl where they have a bunch of even players that you never had a chance to even meet. And one guy, I played against him in high school, and I'm just meeting him now. So, and that's the brotherhood you have, and that's always nice, you know. But I love being around my teammates, and I have one of my teammates that lives in Rochester. And I saw him just before I left, and I keep in contact with him. But some of my close friends, you know, we're talking every other week or every other month or so, you know. And then you lose certain players or two, whether it's cancer. Lamb Jones, I lost to cancer, and
Jones.
you know I had a relationship with him, and that's why now that I've turned 66, and shoot, I'm going to be 67 in May, and the way my body feels, I feel like I'm 167.
No,
I'm
You look great.
Thankful.
He does look great.
I have a great family, a good support system, and I'm hoping to just go fishing and travel and just, hey, I just want to master the United States just by taking trips to places that I haven't been before. And I actually went to a San Diego Chargers game and Pittsburgh game because it was at that SoFi Stadium during the football season just to see the stadium. And I had a wonderful time. And now my wife and their daughter, they're big Cardinals fans, so I got to deal with the Cardinals. Then my grandson here is a big Colts fan. So when we went to the Colts game, so I'm wearing Jet stuff attire. They're wearing Cardinals and Colts, and but it's a fun thing. It's a nice thing. Nice. But I just enjoyed my life.
Doc G, what do you got?
I know. I wanted to ask him about he was a physical education teacher in Parkview Elementary. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how that went for you after you left your career?
That I'm very proud of. And, you know, and I think people try to find themselves what they really want to do. And I try to tell people, I was doing an interview at the Super Bowl, you know, you have to love what you do, too. A lot of people are in jobs that they don't really love what they do. I'm very proud that I was able to not only graduate college, but I went on to get my master's, and I received my master's in education at Fordham University the year I retired in 1989, and I'm really proud of that. And I went right into teaching, taught about 25 years. I ended up on Long Island. I started in the New York City system, and I ended up on Long Island for the last 16 years of my career. And I absolutely love the kids and the influence you can have. The kids don't even know the influence they had on me. I'm trying to influence them. And the parents, they were be more floored because I was this football player for the Jets teaching their children. But a lot of the children didn't know I even played for the Jets. They just knew me as Mr. Walker, their phys ed teacher. But I still have kids that I'm in contact today that are now married and have children. One of my students is out in two of them, actually, their sister. I've had their whole family, and I just adore them. I pulled out this T-shirt the other day. Her name is Joelle Goldstein, and I used to go to her volleyball games, and I put her number on it, and I put it. She was a beast, and I loved her, and I had her number, and I would wear the T-shirt and just cheering her on. And I took a picture, and I sent it to her on a message and on Facebook. And she says, I can't believe you still have that. And she said, I still remember you coming to in elementary school, she was in a play, Annie, a little musical. And I would go to musicals and recitals. My daughter was a dancer, so I went to all the recitals. I love that. But I love supporting the students. And this girl I'm talking about, her sister, I have pictures of her sister when she was a little kid on my lap and that we took. And I know the whole family. And now they want me to, like, when I come out to California, I have to hook up with them. And I've been so busy that I didn't get a chance to when I went out to the Super Bowl. And I forgot they were out in California. But I still have good relationship with most of my students. And it's great when I see them. Now they have their children and they've grown up into men and women. My wife had 2 kids. I've known them since they were 5 and 6. They're like my own. I treat them like my own. And it's just amazing how they've grown up to men and women. And it just gives me great pleasure. But like I said, I fell into teaching after I got my master's, and my premise was to help student athletes that they could get and be successful, their education. And if they wanted to pursue an athletic career, this is the way to do it, through their education. And that was my premise, that I could help focus. I didn't want to really coach. And I did coach track one year where we won a championship at Kings Park where I taught. But I simply was just a phys ed teacher, trying to make impact on students, trying to have them make the right choices in life. And I loved it to this day. I think I retired prematurely, but a lot of people don't know the problems I was having physically and the ailments that I would go through. And hey, I'd be laying on my back between classes because I was just in pain. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, not knowing I had to get major neck and back surgeries. And I did after that. All my major surgeries have come after my career, and it was all related to the NFL. But the kids, they influenced me so much and made me feel so good. It just made it easier for me to go in every day. But it got to a point where I had to do something. And I finally got the surgeries. And then I was still having some difficulties, and I still have difficulties where I had to, my attorney said I should just apply for this disability, which I was able to receive because I was really having some problems physically, but sometimes I felt like it was too early for me to give that up because I had such a good time being with the kids, and they just don't know. Forget about the administration stuff and the parents and all that. I just love being with the kids. That was my main focus.
Wow. And you suffer from spinal stenosis and problems with your hands, right? A whole bunch of
Yep.
problems.
Well, it started with my neck. I had a bad neck condition, and I probably should have gotten out of football 3 years prior to when I did. I didn't know how severe it was, but a lot of people don't know I would get hit or I would dish out a hit and I would go paralyzed. And they kept saying, if this happens one more time, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have to probably retire. And I was going to even hide it. And I remember, because I remember going to see, they flew me out to Baltimore to a specialist. I had Dennis Bird's doctor. And he said, hey, this is a chance you take, all the time when you step out on the practice field. And it was my decision to keep playing. But my spinal cord was so closed that it was pressing on my spinal cord. So I could bump a little kid in a pickup basketball going, and I'd have a numbness and the stuff paralyzing me. And so I had C4 through 7 fuse. I have 14 screws and a plate and cage.
Wow.
That was in 2007. But 2014, my back was worse than my neck. And my doctor still says, I don't know how you got through what you did. I couldn't even bend over to touch my toes through training camp my last year. And I've since, in 2014, had a 6-level back fusion. I have 10 screws and 2 big rods in back. And it's really stiff when I sit, when I get up. And I have this radiation that goes down to my legs. And right now they're like inflamed. I have pain just bending them. Because of the spine and neck and back fusions, I've had this atrophy and this tingling, and sometimes it's painful. And you just like, Jesus, what is it? The cold weather, air conditioning affects it. Like out here in Arizona, when it's cool at night, I can't even turn the key to open up the door. I struggle with it because I'm losing motor function in my right hand. And if you see my hand, I have it's like almost a skeleton in my hand, where you can see the atrophy. And I have that on my whole body. And so I want to see if there's any treatments out there. And I have to get all new doctors now, and I'm exploring that right now. And there might be some treatment. I've had both my shoulders operated on. And in 2014, I had my back, my shoulder, and my Achilles done. And then over the years, you have so much pain. And I'm just used to pain all the time. You get used to it. But the problem I'm having now is like getting up. If I have to go down and pick something up or something falls on the bed, I dread getting up because the other day, my wife doesn't even know. I'm in the room trying to, get something on the floor, and I'm trying to see what can I grab on to get myself up. I'm struggling now. I can't even move to get up. And I'm trying to grab the dresser. I'm trying to turn around. I had to crawl to the bed to finally pick myself up. I don't know why, since the surgery, this has been happening, why I can't just get up like normally, just get out of the car and feel normal. And I think a lot of it is due to the stiffness. And, I used to be like 6'1", 6'1.5", and because of the surgery, I think I lost height. Now they have me at 5'11". But I can feel the rods or something in my back that's real stiff. And I kind of walk hunched over, and I have to really straighten up when I do. So I got to start doing some therapy training, which I want to do. And that's one of my goals when I've retired, where I can really focus on not only activities of fishing and enjoying the things I want to do, but also working on my body and doing what I think is best for me. Or if I find a therapist or a doctor that really knows what they're doing to help me get better, at least with the problems that I am having. And as far as I'm concerned, I figured more or less I'm going to probably have to live with this the rest of my life. But if there's something out there that may keep me from feeling like this the way I do, I'm hoping I'm going to find it. So that's my goal right now.
Wesley, I got 2 words for you. DDP Yoga, Diamond Dallas Page from wrestling. No, seriously, he's helped a lot of wrestlers.
You do not have to tell me about that. I've heard about it, and that's something of concern. And the shameful part, I had one of my best friends for probably 12, 15 years that I was close with. And I never took a yoga class, you know. We joke about it all the time. You're always trying to come in. But that very thing you told me, the DDP, somebody was talking to me, and I looked it up, and it's a former, isn't it a former athlete or celebrity that does that?
Yeah, well, Diamond Dallas Page,
There
he's a friend of mine in wrestling. He's a wrestler.
Exactly.
He's helped Jake the Snake Roberts. He's helped tons of people. He's helped so many other wrestlers.
But I forgot. That's my brain. Maybe I had too many hits in the head because my memory is shot. But just told me that a couple weeks ago. I forgot who told me about him to look it up to give it a shot.
I'll hook you up with him.
Every aspect, any therapy, whether it's yoga or they have so many different treatments that you can go. And a lot of it for me, I think, is to keep moving and stretching. And, you know, and the only thing, and this is the sad part for me, I used to run like a deer. I could run. I mean, I really could run. I prided myself running long distance when training. I could run long distance. Even in high school, guys would be in comedy. I know you could probably beat me in the sprints, but you couldn't beat me in a long distance. And I would whip their ass. Sorry, but I don't mean to curse. But I prided myself every morning. I would run 3.5 miles. That would, you know, for my training, for training camp every year. And now that I can't even jog. So I'm barely being able to walk, you know, and drudgery sometimes. And my wife really doesn't understand what I have to go through. And she's just started to run 3-4 miles, not even work up a sweat. And she's complaining how sore she is. And I tell her, you're sore like this. Imagine this is me every day. I do not understand it. So this is what I want to try to see if there's anything out there to get rid of this inflammation, this soreness, this stiffness, so I can just get up normally and hopefully one day start jogging.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the Super Bowl. You went to the Super Bowl, right?
I loved it. Not from the aspect of the game, because I get a little jealous. Anytime since I've retired, when you see, especially the ceremonies after the game, and you know, it's just so hard when you never got there. And I think of Cam Newton, who I went to that Super Bowl. They lost one game. You thought they were going to be on top of the world. They lose to Peyton Manning. He has not been the same since. Dan Marino never got there. There's guys that never even been to the playoffs. It's hard. And it's hard for me to watch the celebrations because you want to be there. You wanted to have that experience. And that's something I cannot experience. But on the other hand, I have a chance to spend time with my wife, my kids. That SoFi Stadium is something everybody should be able to go to that stadium. Makes the Jets stadium look like a little ghetto, but it was, and you can't imagine being in California and 89-degree weather, watching the people and just having a good time. And I got a chance to see my family, and I have a brother of mine in Palm Springs and in the San Bernardino area, so I got a chance to see them and I just walk around like a tour. So that and then plus I get a chance to see guys that I hadn't seen in a long time and play with. I was signing autographs with Anthony Beck and Tony Richardson and a bunch of guys that I don't even know. They probably don't know me either, but we're just having a ball and a great time. And guys that I saw JoJo Townsell, I hadn't seen in years.
Oh, wow. I'm 83.
Who was our rival at Banning High School. Him and Freeman went to school together, but they were at UCL. It's Wendell Tyler, and I hadn't seen them since high school. There was a guy that played quarterback. His name was Guy Benjamin. I hadn't seen him since we played him in a playoff game in high school. You know, and I was telling him the story that we were up for Player of the Year, and my coach tells me they're probably going to give it to him, but they're trying to make it co-players of the year. And I had a great game against them in the playoffs, and I intercepted a pass. I got the winning touchdown, so I'm thinking I still have a chance to win. I run out to get the newspaper, and Guy Benjamin's Player of the Year. And I was telling them that story, but I was proud to be able to sit down and talk with him to tell him that story, you know. So that's the beauty of when you get a chance to go to these things and you see players that you've never really played against, but you know of, and you know, and you share the kind of same stories, and you get along with them, and you know them, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's a very nice thing, and I'm hoping to make it a yearly thing. But I enjoy, more importantly, just being with my wife doing it, you know, and she doesn't get that. A lot of times, I have children who would want to go, and I'll let them go instead of me. And here I am, the player and everything that wants to experience these things, but they've never experienced it. And I've been there, done that. And my wife is that way too. She'd rather go on a trip to Alaska someplace, you know. And it's a nice thing, but we do have a good time everywhere we go. We always have these outfits where we dress alike and everything. Everybody thinks it's all cute and everything, but we have a good time.
Nice.
But it was great being out here in California. I don't know what it's like out for you right now in the weather, but I'm in shorts and 80-degree weather right now.
A little colder here.
Yeah. The camaraderie, it's so true. The camaraderie with guys you played against, it's second to none. I mean, I played football in high school. I still have friends to this day that I'm very close with. Very, you know, we've just it's the connection. I understand exactly what you said.
Exactly right. You said it's a connection. There's guys that you don't even really know very well, or guys you never met, but you know of them.
Yes.
And it's like you have this bond, and it's like you know each other. There's a guy that played for Minnesota Vikings. He's a running back, Chuck Foreman. I knew of him, but I remember going to Minneapolis, and we'd be talking. He'd come to New York. We meet at these dinner functions, but don't know anybody. But it's like we've known each other for years, and that's the way it is with certain people, you know. And I played against Marcus Allen, and we didn't play together. And we'll go do an autograph sign and run into people. And then he had me on the phone with Cliff Branch, who I admired. And we never met each other, but we talked. And then he passed away. I remember that. But you have so many people that, you know, over the years you've met or they know of you. And it's just that connection you have. And that's the nice thing, too, you know. And I
just made the Hall of Fame, Cliff Branch. Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Matter of fact, I used to watch him run. He ran track in Colorado. And I remember when I got recruited to Colorado, you know, he was one of the guys that was there. So I kind of watched him, and he had these quick little steps. And that's kind of how I ran also. And I remember telling him that how much I patted myself. He reminded me of me, the way he ran, you know. And really, you know, I don't know what he felt about me, but I admired him as an athlete. And unfortunately, he passed away, and then they give him the Hall of Fame, because there's a lot of players that deserve, like Joe Galecko, and you don't want to, you know, you want to at least get it when you're still alive.
I don't understand how he's not in the Hall of Fame. It just doesn't make sense to me. How like Bryant Young made the Hall of Fame this year.
I don't.
Joe Galecko, you know,
really knew the politics that would make you angry. You know.
Yes.
I don't know how any, you know, like say. Reporters would have. There were people that never even played the game itself.
That's unreal.
Until I don't know the whole politics of it, but that could be involved as well. I just don't know of it. But like I said, in my heart, that I know, let's say what I brought to the table, what some of my teammates brought to the table, and just because you don't have that title doesn't mean you're not there. That's the way I feel about it.
I mean, the fact that in 1981, Joe Galecko had 20 and a half sacks and Mark Aston had 20 sacks. That'll never be done again, ever. Two defensive ends having 20 sacks on the same line.
I hope it never gets done, because they're my guys. And I'll never say never, because things happen. And
exactly.
True. But 40 years, it hasn't happened.
There's always somebody else.
I know.
You know, and guys are playing more games, too. They don't take that into account.
Yeah.
A lot of guys did a lot of these things with less games. And that's why I think of guys like Jim Brown back in the day who had less games than we played and put up the numbers he did. And that's something to be factored in too, you know. But I now look back on my career and I just say, darn, I wish I had had those opportunities some of these guys had. And, you know, there's a way of training. And this baffles me. My wife started me in, I would say, the last 3 to 5 years. Me drinking water. I never drank water. Drank a lot of soda. And as an athlete, I'm looking back on my career. Maybe that's why I was getting dinged up or pulled or whatever. But health and training, the way you train, there's a lot of things that could go into it. For me to just start drinking water now, I'm going. This is baffling for me as an athlete. How you eat, how you health and training. We just didn't have that. And even as the families, I think, just the way you've been brought up and how well you should be eating and things you do. And I look at some of my grandkids, what they're eating, what the parents are letting them do, and start telling them, or at least forcing them to eat healthier. And so they know for your future, because it's really for your health and benefit. And a lot of that, I think, hurts athletes. And now I just could wish I could go back and do some of the things that I was involved with that I wouldn't dare even think about doing. Now I'm this clean cut guy, no alcohol, no nothing. I wish somebody would have got me to do that way back when. I know my family wanted me to do, but I was this happy-go-lucky person. Nobody could tell me what to do. I'm doing what I want to do. But you just look back on life, and I enjoy just life itself. But I'm just glad I am where I am. It's better late than never to get that information, But that's what I would hope for athletes starting. You got to have that mindset of taking care of your body, eating healthy and training healthier and getting the most out of your body that you can physically possibly do. Because, in this game, I don't care how healthy you live, you still have that big injury factor, and that could kill your career.
Absolutely. What about the NFL over the years? How has it changed since the time you played?
I don't think it's really changed. I think they try to put a facade on it to try to make like they're doing certain things. Obviously, they change the rules to try to protect, but you've got certain things that you just can't help protect. And I was just more disappointed when the CTE came out, and they probably knew a lot longer than before things were happening or had the signs or people telling them certain things and keeping it on the back burner and not trying to, I think as the NFL, and I just wish we had somebody that's really fighting for the players. Like when something is happening, like a CTE or whether it's head injuries or any injuries, you should be doing everything you can to try to create something to try to help players and not try to hide it. And I think they hide things, or they're coming out now because they have to, but it should be done. You shouldn't even have to ask or point the focus, whether it's with minority hiring, and they have these programs that they have to hire a minority, but it's not working. But instead of just doing what's right from the very beginning. And I remember watching that concussion movie, and I met Dr. Amalu and what he'd been through and what some of these players are going through. And I felt like even the commissioner, they knew these things, but they weren't addressing it. And they didn't address it properly and soon enough. And if you know something, then address it. You don't have to hide it. But this is big business. They make a lot of money, and they're going to protect any way you can. But the players need to be protected also. There was a better way, and that's where our union has to get better with every aspect of everything that you're entitled to, or whether it's financially, where to put your money, health-wise, like even a program for health and, structuring just the things that you're going to have to go through. And sometimes our union didn't do a good job of giving you all the information or things or benefits that you were entitled to. And sometimes on the NFL basis, they would hide certain things because they don't want you to take that benefit or whatever, so if they don't have to pay you. And I just hope that we can all come together. And I just wish they would come together where they did have a long-term care for athletes or insurance program. Everybody say, oh, the NFL takes care of it. No, they do not. If it wasn't for my teaching insurance, and I did apply for a workman's comp for my neck and my back, and that's covered. But if it wasn't for my own insurance, I'd be up, whatever you want to call it. I'm ready to curse, and I don't want to do that.
Sure.
But,
Terrible.
need to be educated, and I think players are becoming more aware and smarter, but I still don't think they have enough information. And I think the NFL should be doing a better job, and the NFLPA together to do what's best for long-term, not only now when the players are playing, but for their futures too, because there's going to be different things that are going to happen after your career is over, and trying to make that adjustment. Some people can handle certain things, but just know what your benefits are and what's in front of you, and what you need to do to help get yourself better and put yourself, even if it's a financially situated, better for your family, for your health, personally. And I just hope one day that will change, but I don't see that happening. But I do know that players themselves have to be educated, and you got to figure it out for yourself. If you don't get that education and try to figure things out, nobody's going to do it for you if you're not taking care of it for yourself.
Exactly.
You had that help to really, just in life in general. I wish, I lost my father at 40 years of age.
Wow.
He was only 40. I was 17. And, and my mother couldn't do a lot of different things, not having the experience. But you wish you had somebody, and they maybe not have that information either, but you wish you had somebody to really help you, to guide you in a way. And that's where a lot of athletes don't. And you can pick somebody that you trust and you think have your best interests at, and they have their own interests. And that's heartbreaking too, because I've had it's not about black and white. I have black, white, they're like my brothers, and they would be stealing from you or making poor choices for you and didn't have your best interests at heart. So as a person, you really have to get that education for yourself so you can make a good decision. And a lot of players don't have that, but you have to try to figure that out. But I just wish the NFL and the NFL Players Association would do the right thing to get those help, so you can go to when a person's in trouble and they need help, and give them a direction, and they can put you in that direction so you can be positive in your life. And I just wish they had a system where that would be beneficial for all.
Exactly. Doc G, any final thoughts for Wesley Walker?
Yeah, before we let you go, Wesley, we're going to ask you something, but I just want to say that I agree with you 100% with what you're saying. Also, if more people would ask questions, you'll get answers. And if they don't have the answers, find out from somebody else. That's all I can say. That's what I've been doing in broadcasting for years, is always asking questions. Question everything and anybody, what their agenda is, what they're trying to do, what they're not trying to do. And you'll get all your answers, and then you make your decision based on all that. It's really that's your guide.
Yep, and that's based on getting your education. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know that I'd like to know, but you just got to find that information to get that and ask the questions, like you say. And that's your own ability to be able to do that. But you got to figure that out when whatever that you're looking for at the time. And I know even with Black history, there's a lot of, we're not taught in school, and there's a lot of history out there that I don't know. But there's a way to get that information, to seek out that information, so you know and you're educated about it, and then you can have a dialogue or an answer for everything, and it's not enough of that. But we do have to take it upon ourselves to get that education, to ask the questions, so you can get the answers that you need. And I totally agree with you, Doc.
Oh yeah, and we just wanted to ask you before you go if you could actually do a sweeper for Jimmy Diele. Just say who you are and what you're, from the New York Jets, and you're listening to the Jimmy Diele Show on Hamilton Radio.
Well, I'm Wesley Walker, Old Pro wide receiver, Ring of Honor recipient in 2012. And I'm here with Jimmy Diele and Tommy. And I'm glad to be able to be a part of this situation. And you can call me anytime, but glad to see you, all three of you.
Awesome. You know what, Tommy, do you have any final thoughts for Wesley Walker?
Yeah, listen, one thing I could always say about you, Wesley, you're a better person than a player. You are an amazing human being. God bless you. You don't realize how much of an influence you've had on, people's lives. And like I said, and to idolize you as a child, and then to meet you as an adult, you're like one of the best human beings I've ever met. And I really appreciate
it. And I probably talked to Tommy more on the phone.
Yes.
Tommy's so awesome.
Actually, Wesley, I made you another card frame. I sent you a text.
Okay.
You got to put it in your green room in Arizona now.
Hey, we are working on the green room as we speak. They're painting today. They may be finished. And my wife's out there. They may have been finished, so she's eager to put some stuff up there. So I have a place for it. I just wish I had a bigger place for it, like I did in New York, and even that was too small. And I'm downsizing, so I just have so much with family and my kids and so much memories. And can't display it all, and that's one thing I wish I could.
I hope you're gonna be coming to the games this year.
Yes,
Great.
Because they say the summertime is hot out here, so I want to do that. And there was a point where before we left, we were staying with a friend of mine in Amityville, and we could have stayed for the football season. We were just debating, and then this house had come up, and we didn't know we were going to be able to pick up a house and close this fast. And but I was going to stay to the football season and then come out here, but it didn't work out that way. But I plan on it. You know,
Great.
I'm still tied to the Jets. I'm green through and through.
Yes.
Well, Wesley, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. It was an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much. You are always welcome here at Hamilton Radio.
I appreciate it. It's my honor. Thanks, guys.
Thank
you,
so
Wesley.
much,
We appreciate it so much.
You got it.
Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you, Wesley.
Well, thank you, Tommy, for bringing him. Jimmy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
He was amazing. He's amazing.
He is. He really is.
He's great human being. Great. Really amazing.
And Tommy is such a good friend of mine, and one of the biggest Jets fans in the entire world. I mean,
since I'm born, I was actually born on a Jet game.
Tommy,
game. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
He's actually taken me to many Jet games, right, Tommy?
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
We went to a number of games, and we've met Wesley a few times. At the games.
Tommy introduces me to players and all types of things.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. You should come this season. I'll take you. Come with us, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. He's got to come.
Bring him on. Bring him on the show.
Yes. We're gonna work on getting other players too. Now that we got this, we're gonna absolutely. Yeah, you come to the games. We'll introduce you to some of the players.
I'd like to come. I haven't been to a football game for years.
Oh, we got to go one weekend. We got to go with Doc G. Absolutely, Tommy.
I'll get tickets. I'll get you tickets. You come. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, Doc, I just want to mention on Monday we got coming up, Crystal Bowersox from American Idol is going to be here, which I'm so excited about that. She was so great. And also wrestling superstar Mickie James hangs out with us. And I believe that's coming up next Thursday, which is going to be interesting. Nikki Springfield, guitarist for the Iron Maiden. She's fantastic. And also from the group Femme Fatale, actress Audrey Landers from the show Dallas, of course. And, of course, Deborah Allen, country star, is going to stop by. We got Larry Tamlin of the Standells will stop by. And Mr. Music, Norman Knight. So many great people on the way. So I want to thank everybody for listening. And please stick with us, and we will let you know about all these celebrities coming up. And so many more great people on the way, too. Right, Doc G?
Absolutely. More people coming. We're working on it, Jimmy. We're working on it, right?
Absolutely. Always.
It's great.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Tommy. Nice meeting you. And,
thank you. Nice meeting you too.
Hey there. We'll talk to you in a minute. Okay.
Sure.